I come from a family of readers, my mom and my sisters. I wasn't one. I was always like running around and getting into trouble. I was super, you know, playing tackle the man with a football with my friends, doing stuff outdoors. But I was always surrounded by books. And consequently, I always valued books. So when I got to college and I started fumbling around, I thought I was going to be a math major and all these things that I was clearly not capable of doing. When I finally worked my way back to literature, it felt like a home, frankly, even though I wasn't necessarily very good at that either. I don't have a specific memory of particular advice, of that sort of thing, of advice and things like that. But I've always been, we all get a ton of advice, and I've always tried to be receptive to it. But the thing that I note is that you get this advice and it resonates with you for whatever reason, and then you act on it. And after you've acted upon it, it's no longer advice, it's experience, it's life, and it's something that you can build on. Classic four-color Bic, blue, black, red, green. It also is the answer to what I always travel with. I always travel with my four-color Bic because you can always find a scrap of paper. And once you've got a scrap of paper, then you can start making the notes and you can color coordinate them so they make sense to you. Next on my TBR list is Monica Berlin's collection of poems, Nostalgia for a World Where We Can Live In. I read her first collection of poems, Elsewhere That Small, and I was really just struck. As poets go, she's good. She's not BSing. She's really good. Honestly, nothing. There's lots that I'm scared of, but things I've wanted to do, I've always tried to do them. Kitchen cooked potato chips. This potato chip that's, if y'all are from Illinois, you'll know it. It's from, I think, Western Illinois, but it's kind of regional. And they taste a little stale, but they're really good. So kitchen cooked potato chips and sips of my partner's coffee. I can't drink a whole cup myself or I get the jitters. In the novel, I'm trying to play with stereotypes, types that applied then and that continue today, regrettably. And I also wanted to complicate how we perceive and talk about race. So the title is a reference to the Union officer who's in command of this brigade of Black soldiers. His name was Edward Augustus Wilde, and he was this real-life abolitionist general. And there had never been a person who was more aptly named. Before the war, he had gone off and fought in the Crimean War. He was a medical doctor by training, but he went off and he joined the Ottoman Turks. He served as a doctor over there, so he was kind of a mercenary. And then when he came back, he joined the Union Army during the Civil War, leading a white regiment from Massachusetts. He was from Massachusetts, and he lost use of one arm at the Battle of South Mountain. And then in a subsequent battle, so he recuperates and he comes back, and then in a subsequent battle, he loses entirely the other arm. And yet he is so committed to the cause that he goes south and he helps raise this troop of former slaves. So the fact of his commitment to abolitionism, and that he's called Wild, the Black troopers sort of completely embrace him as one of their own initially. So when they refer to him as the N-word, it's from this place of affection, like he's one of us. But then over the course of the novel, his zealotry begins to impact upon them differently. So there's this evolution of it. The editor at Grove, Morgan Etrican, was really good about sort of helping me come up with other ideas. And at one point, as we were struggling for, there were all sorts of what I thought were interesting ideas, but nothing that quite landed. He suggested I look at old Civil War songs. And there's a Civil War song by a man named Henry Work. And it's from a Northern perspective. He was a Northerner. And it's sung, the lyrics are from the perspective of a Black trooper, but it's in dialect. And so it also is appropriating sort of these minstrel stereotypes, even as it's trying to valorize the Black soldiers. So it was all that playing with types and race and how race was perceived. The perfect vacation for me is a vibrant city with friends and loved ones nearby, and then long lunches with lots of wine. My sisters, leisurely meals with friends, and hopefulness. It's a revision of the classic Civil War tale, Brother Against Brother, only this time one is Black, the other white, and one's the former slave of the other. I love historical fiction and history, so my reader type is time traveler. Entertained first and foremost, because I always want my books to be a good read, but also informed, because I want folks to get a new perspective. So hopefully they're getting a good read, but in so doing, it's illuminating something new for them.